Hope here, and welcome. It is week 11 of my Crafty Hope prompt deck project that I'm calling hashtag Crafty Hope prompts. Basically, I'm building up a prompt deck, going on the idea that there are 52 cards in a deck and 52 weeks in a year. And so each week I'm making a prompt card. So these are my more decorative sides of my prompt cards I've made so far, weeks 1 through 10. And then on the back side, I'm calling these my functional sides, and they have my prompts. So as you can see, there are 3 prompts on each of these. And so yeah, each week I'm drawing 3 prompts and altering these cards. I do this each Monday. And then on Saturday, I take those same 3 prompts and do a project. Sometimes it's just as simple as an art journal or junk journal page. Sometimes it's a tag. I've altered this can. I've done wall hangings. I made a junk journal. All kinds of whatever sparks my fancy. But I have to use those 3 prompts in some way. So today is Monday, and that means we're going to draw my 3 prompts for the week. Before I do that, I will go ahead and say this is open to y'all to play with. If you want to take the same 3 prompts that I have and make your own altered playing card or make your own deck, go for it. You do not have to start at week 1 either. You can start now and go back later, or you can try to catch up, or I have the list of all 156 prompts in the description box below. Just look for that link. It'll take you to a Google Drive, and it's a spreadsheet that you can print out and cut them out yourself. So if I didn't cover everything, if something's unclear, just let me know. I will be happy to answer this for you. But I'm doing this because I don't use a lot of my materials, or I don't use them as often, or sometimes I just use them in the same way over and over again. So by drawing 3 prompts, maybe I will combine things that I wouldn't normally think to combine, or use it in a way that I wouldn't normally use it, and I will actually use it because a lot of times we get stuff in our stash and don't touch it again. So that is when I made my list. I kind of threw in those things that I knew were sitting around and needed to be used, and I'm going for it. Okay, that is enough explaining. These intros are getting longer and longer. I am going to put my completed cards aside somewhere, and we'll get to the card in a minute. For now, we're going to go ahead and pull my 3 prompts and see what happens. Okay. Prompt number 1 is going to be, if I can get it open, stick. Okay. So, y'all, it's a stick. You can take that in any way you want. You can think of it as a bamboo skewer. You can get a stick from outside and incorporate it somehow in your art, draw with it, make an altered brush of some kind. You can, I'm trying to think other ways. You can stick things together maybe. Just, stick. Glue stick. So I may come up with some more that I'll mention later, or maybe on Saturday when I reveal my project, but stick. Like I said, it can be like some kind of wooden stick, a paintbrush stick, or I don't know, a stick of glue. Yeah, that's what I got right now. If you've got some other ideas for these beyond what I'm suggesting, please suggest them below so that if somebody else is struggling, maybe you will help them out. All right, prompt number 2 is going to be, I'm trying to make sure I got one, sewing machine. Ooh, that's going to be interesting if I do, well, I've already got an idea now. Okay, so sewing machine. I do have a sewing machine. I had 3 at one point. I think I'm down to maybe just 2 ones put up because it doesn't really work. But anyway, I do have a sewing machine. If you do not have a sewing machine, let the idea of a sewing machine inspire you. Maybe you have stickers with sewing machines on them, or stamps, or something like that. You don't actually have to use your sewing machine. Think of what the idea of a sewing machine, or something that was made with a sewing machine. If you have a quilt that's falling apart, or something like that, kind of think outside the box. Or you can just hand stitch something in a way that maybe a machine would. So, all right, stick and sewing machine. Now putting these on a card are going to be interesting. All right. And our last one is gold. Oh, y'all, that makes me happy. So gold. You can, one of my favorite things, y'all, is this Liquitex acrylic ink in gold. You see it lives on my desk. It's actually getting super clumpy and I need to replace it, but I keep it up here so I can use it. But gold could also be some kind of gold pen or gold foil or gold. I've got some gold crackle paint. Yeah, look at that gold crackle paint. Like a Pearl-Ex powder in gold. I'm trying to think what else could be gold. You could add gold buttons. And I'm trying to think outside of the color gold, but I can't really. But if you got some jewelry components, I can see across the room, I've got some punchinella that's gold. That could be interesting to use somehow. It is the holiday season, so there's all kinds of gold tinsel-y things that could be incorporated. So gold glitter. Oh, there's a gold for you. So those are those things. I do want to mention too right now before I forget about it that today I am starting jury duty. Yes. So I don't know what my schedule is going to look like, and I'm hoping I will have projects for you Saturday and then the following Monday. But with the recording of things, editing of things, uploading of things, uploading especially right now is taking forever. Things could get a little sketchy. I'm going to do what I can. I will hopefully, if I can't get a video up, hopefully at least post over on Instagram. We'll see. But I'd like to get the videos up. So, but if you have questions or need to contact me, Instagram or here are fine. Leave me messages or leave me comments. All right, guys. I am going to grab my card and gather these things, I guess. And I'll be back in a second to alter this card. I have gathered a few things. So for stick, I'm taking it literally. I walked outside and found a stick and broke off some of the tinier branches from it, thinking I can either use it to draw with or roll across in some way. And I've got gold paint, so we'll get to that. For sewing machine, I almost feel like I'm going to take it literally and take my card to my sewing machine somehow, but I'm trying to decide because I do this two-sided, so if I sew through one side, we're going to have another side. So I'm thinking on that. But I may just go ahead and do it and just have it as texture in the background for both sides. We'll see. And then gold, like I said. Oh, also for sewing machine, I know I've got a die cut or a sticker or something somewhere in this craft room that is a little sewing machine. I may have sent it to somebody in Happy Mail. I don't know. But I can't find it. But I did find that I have these parchment rub-ons from Seven Gypsies, and it's got this old sewing machine on there. I looked to see if there was another one, but I'm not seeing it. You know, I might have a stamp with a sewing machine on it somewhere. I don't know. I may look for it for my project, but these parchment rub-ons are huge. So if I use, I'm going to show y'all, if I use the sewing machine, which is, oh, of course it's here. This is part of that sewing machine. So it is huge compared to my card. But if I put it on there, it's still sewing machine on there. I don't know. I'm trying to decide if I want to use it or not. But I don't use this often, so it would be a reason for me to go ahead and use it. I don't know. Maybe I'll use one of the phrases that are on here. I don't know. So that's my day. Okay, and for gold, like I said, I've already got that gold up there. I pulled out this metallic matte finish Modern Masters in Olympic Gold Opaque, and I may use it because it was within reach. So there's my ideas. I think I'm going to start with some collage. I've just got some papers that were on my desk. Some of them are scraps from my project I just did Saturday. I just gathered things on my desk and we're going to go to it.
Oh my gosh, y'all. I was such a chatterbox for that intro. I am so sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. And this video is no better probably, so let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to do is collage on top of this card. If you've seen some of my other card videos, you understand exactly what I'm doing. But basically, most playing cards have a plastic surface to them, and that makes them very slick, and so it's very hard to glue to them or add a whole lot of other things. So to alter that, you can sand it down or add gesso or something like that, but I found that since collage tends to be my first step anyway, it's perfect. So I am covering it all up. I'm using matte Mod Podge to do this, and like I said, just using some things I found on my desk. Yeah. And yeah, so this everything it feels like right now that I'm doing is the same color wave, because I'm just keeping some of the same paints and things like that on my desk because I'm enjoying them. So I don't see any reason to kind of do something else that maybe that's going to be my style. So I'm getting that all down. I think I'm going to dry that real quick with my I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna trim off some of the excess first, and then I will. Yeah, and this seems really slow, y'all. I know I have sped this clip up, but this feels almost like real time. So I have to believe that I was going super slow when I was doing this. All right, so now I am going to dry this and then do the other side. And I'm going to do basically the same thing. But for this side, I think I only collaged down like 3 things because I end up using a really large piece of that painted paper there. Yeah, and it covers up most of the card. So it is going to end up being my more functional side. So I'm not sure if I said it in that super long intro. What didn't I say there? But each side of my card, one side is a decorative side, just like when you have a playing card, you have the side that everybody else sees, and then you have your functional side with your numbers and your suits. So for me, I have a decorative side, which I, go crazy with, and I have my functional side, which has my prompts. So, and is there a different way to explain that? I'm not sure. That's how there's like information side and pretty side. All right, so I've gotten that all done. I've got a mailer envelope here, just a bubble mailer that I'm going to use as my palette to put some of that gold paint down, because I thought, you saw me explain that I thought I might roll my stick across my card, and that's exactly what I want to do. So I kind of want to make sure that I can get some of that gold paint on the sides of my stick and not just on the tip of it. And I don't want to dip my whole stick into that paint and contaminate it. So, because these, like I said, y'all, these came straight out of my yard. Just walked out the front door and picked up a couple sticks. So I am trying to get some of the texture. These are pine bark sticks, or not pine bark, but they're from a pine tree. And so they're super textured, like prickly almost. And I wanted to get some of that texture. It was not having it though. So I did my best to squish and roll and move it around and just get some of that gold paint on there. And did I dry it? Yeah. So I dried that real quick, and then did I flip it over? Yep. And I'm going to do it again on the other side. But this time, y'all, I'm going to seriously go to town with it. I'm getting quite a bit more of that paint on this other side. I will say that this card ends up being a bit too much. It's more over the top than I would normally like for one of my pieces. There's not enough white space. It's completely chaotic. I had a good time playing with it, but there was a certain point where I was like, okay, I have to stop. And I even at the point where I said I have to stop, I kept going. Y'all, this one, I'm hoping my project I can get my act together a little bit more. So I got my gold paint down using my stick, and I'm looking at my prompts here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them down, because what I want to do is sew them on. And I did record me sewing these on with my sewing machine, and I did that with my phone, but it fell over in the process from the motion of the sewing machine, so you won't get to see that footage because it was real shaky, and nobody needs that. All right, so I've clipped off some of the excess on the edges of these, and I'm going to use my Oohoo glue stick to glue them down. And then I'm going to my sewing machine and I will just do a stitch across the top of each of my prompts there. And then I've got a zigzag stitch I do around the whole outside. And that'll bring in my sewing machine prompt here. So now at this point, y'all, I've got all three of my prompts on this card. I've used a stick. I've even used a glue stick. And I've used my sewing machine and I've added some gold paint. And I could have stopped. I mean, it's a fine card at this point, but no, I'm going to keep at it. So if you saw a minute ago, for some reason I wanted to add a bit more to my prompt side. So I pulled out this Americana paint in Midnight Blue and I'm using a bamboo skewer or bamboo stick to, on the back end, make some little dots, and that's it. I don't know. I just wanted a little more decoration on my prompt side. I don't know. All right, so you see I've got that little piece of paper I had on my table. I blotted up some of the gold paint with it, and I thought I would cut out one of the phrases that are on that rub-on that has the sewing machine, and one that's just kind of there on the edge says, be your own creative force. And I really like that. So, I'm not going to make y'all watch me do the whole rub-on. My camera stopped recording there at some point, so I don't know what happened. So I cut out that little thing, put it off to the side, decided to accent the dots. Why was I jumping around all over the place on this one, y'all? I don't know. I think I wanted to finish up one side before I went to the next or something. So I went around all of those little dots I made with that black pen and then brought in this Faber-Castell Pitt pen in gold and went around those blue dots. I don't know. It doesn't really add much to it. You might see in the close-ups, but again, that's supposed to be my functional side. I don't know. I was getting all futzy with it. All right, so I'm not going to make y'all watch this whole thing, but that's just a rub on. So I've got it on the paper I want to rub it on, and you can use a popsicle stick or a bone folder or something. That is a burnisher I use for soldering. It was handy. And I'm going to rub those letters on. Just as I cut down the rub on the way I wanted it, I'm going to do the same thing and tear around the words of this just to get it cut out the way I want. And I kind of do wish I didn't use that paper with the gold on it. As much as I liked it, you can't really see the words as much as I want you to. And I thought about going back over it with the pen later, but then it didn't feel like it was true to the rub on. I don't know. I struggled with this here to finish it off. So even laying it down on my card, I could see that it wasn't the focal of it. Like, you could see a difference, but it doesn't really stand out on this card. So I kind of put it to the side while I think about it. I knew I needed something dark on there, so I start with some coffee. That's just instant coffee that I reconstitute, and I'm going to splatter with a fan brush. And I'm going to end up doing that on both sides. So I do it on the decorative side, try it, flip it over, and decide to go ahead and add coffee to the functional side as well, just for the fun of it. Once that is done and dry, I think I decide somewhere in here that I still needed some dark on that decorative side. So I grab one of my sticks and do what I didn't want to do with the gold, which is contaminate that midnight blue paint. But that's okay. It's getting low anyway. So I used my stick to kind of rub that around, but it wasn't feeling, I don't know. It felt I wanted more of the blue on there. So I used my finger to rub it around, but then that felt too much. So using a wet paintbrush, I'm just going to spread out and water down that blue a bit more. Just like that. And then I'll use the coffee and go around the outside, thinking that'll frame it up a little. At this point, y'all, I'm grasping, absolutely grasping for what it is I need on this card. And it felt too dark there, so I'll take that gold that's sitting there. So much of that gold still sitting there, so I'll splatter it as well onto this card. Did you see my exasperated hands? Like, I knew at that point I was grasping. So once I get that dry, I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and stick down this sentiment. So I'll use the Uhu glue stick and put it down on my card. And as you can see, I took those threads that I cut off from my sewing, and I'm just going to back that sentiment with it. Waste not, want not. They were sitting there. I don't know. I think I wish I had some other fabric or something there, would have been better. But I'm using what I have, using what's there. And so I've got those threads down. I've got the sentiment down, and it felt far too dark. That sentiment is so bright on there. So I'll bring in my Uniball Signo white gel pen to make some marks on there, but it's not quite white enough. So I'll grab Titan Buff fluid acrylic paint from Golden and make some little other things here in just a second. You'll see. First, I'm going to study it for far too long and try to figure out what it needs, glue things down. I threw a little bit of everything at this, y'all, and I knew it was getting out of control. But yeah, I just had a hard time with this one. So here's the Titan Buff fluid acrylic. I'm going to make just some like squarey rectangles on there to bring some lightness into this. The Titan Buff is, like an off-white, so it kind of matches that paper I've got on there. I felt if I brought white into it, it would be too stark. So I'm just going to put a couple of these marks in there to kind of lighten it up. I'll dry it and decide that they needed something of their own. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. I tried to edit this down, y'all, but there was so much futzing. So I'll dry this, and then I've got my Uniball Signo in gold, and I'll make a couple marks on each of these, just some little marks, and then I'll go around each of them with a ballpoint pen, and that's it. I make myself stop at that point. So that is it for card 11 with the prompts stick, sewing machine, and gold. If you are playing along, make sure to use that hashtag, and whether you're using my prompts or pulling your own, I want to see what you're doing. All right, y'all, if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and come back on Saturday where I'll hopefully have a project for you that's a little less chaotic. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye.